Yo, what is up, Kings? I hope all is well. Recently, I was watching an episode of South Park. I do still watch that show occasionally. Sorry, guys, about my dash cam. But nowadays, there is all of this slop that's on television. And there's only a handful of okay to maybe like one or two things that are decent that are out. I mean, honestly, most things that I watch are either older and like established good television, and maybe like some cartoon stuff like South Park, Family Guy, that's not complete trash. So, and I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate with that. But even still, for those of you guys who think that South Park is this bastion of conservatism and conservative thought and whatnot, because I know a few years ago I saw, it being floated around, a picture of Trey Parker and Matt Stone with the black guy that lives in California that ran for governor. I'm forgetting his name. He's a AM talk show, Larry Elder. And everybody's like, oh, they're conservative. No, they're not. I mean, if you watch South Park, or a decent amount of it, they are pretty poignant, but for the most part, every episode or every concept or like major current event that's going on, they juxtapose it with the alternative worldview. So they kind of do both in one and kind of play them off of each other and show the absurdities of both sides. So I wouldn't say that they're liberal or conservative, but if anything, though, I probably would lean towards them probably being a little bit more liberal, based off of more of their social thoughts. Now, anyways, with that being said, there was one of the more recent seasons. There was it was a season where Eric Cartman has a girlfriend, and the former teacher, Mr. Garrison, is running for president, and he basically is Donald Trump in that situation. It was kind of brilliant by them, actually, to not directly make fun of Donald Trump, rather use a character that was already established to basically be Donald Trump. And he takes on his whole persona. They have these things called member berries, which are these like remember berries that you eat them or have the juices in them, and all of a sudden you get very like reminiscent of the past, and you want the past to be now. But of course this is put alongside the backdrop of that not really being a possible thing, that you can't really go backwards. Sorry guys, my dash cam is just going crazy this morning. So anyways, and as the season progresses, Eric Cartman, who is meant to be the honest, self-serving, politically incorrect character on the show. He's politically incorrect because he's so self-serving. He has issues with Kyle, the Jewish character. Pretty much every like status quo, stereotypical old white man, thought process that's, not liking gay people or, whatever it is what Eric Cartman is. But again, he's completely self-serving. So there's times where it changes and then reverts back. So in this season, he has a girlfriend because all of his technology was broken, and this girl left Twitter, and so they're both without technology, and they go into each other's arms. And as the season goes on, Eric gets more and more blue-pilled. He gets more and more feminized, and he continuously says that women are super smart and super funny. Like, he says that over and over and over and over again. They're super smart and they're super funny. And again, as the season progresses, they get to SpaceX because Eric Cartman wants to leave Earth in order to escape some of the horrific shit that he has said on online. And they go to SpaceX. And he starts to have an epiphany and realize that this mindset that he was having is total bullshit. That women are really just looking to take men's sperm, and they're really just trying to take men to Mars in order to, castrate them and well, not castrate, but theoretically castrate them, put them underground, milk them for sperm and their jokes, because that's all men are good for. That's the only thing that separates men from women, is that they're funny, they can tell jokes, and they have sperm. But women don't need men for anything else, and they literally say that a few times throughout the episode, that's the reason why that's going to happen, is because women don't need men. They don't need men, which is why they're able to do this. And this it just made me think, this is exactly why we currently live in the society that we live in, because even guys that somewhat get it, that are somewhat honest, like the creators of South Park, they are so feminized. It is ridiculous. Feminism has really made it so that the backdrop, the natural thought, well, maybe not natural, but the default thought is that women are these like far superior, again, pedestalized beings that, that are just, by way of them being women, better than men. Men are nasty, fucked up creatures that do all this fucked up shit, ruining society, and all this other stuff. And so, and of course, this is just downright bullshit. It couldn't be further from the truth. It's like, really? You think for thousands of years, women were just this like untapped potential beings that were just being, and again, this is the feminist mindset, that women were this massive untapped potential that were just being suppressed by men. And this is the other aspect that South Park, obviously is not going to talk about, which is force doctrine, which is something like this would never happen because women don't have force. The only way that this could happen is if women were able to convince men to take arms against other men out of, or in order to protect women's interests. That's the only way that would happen, which yes, a lot of men are dumb shits that, are pure betas and white knights and stuff like that. But sooner or later, men would realize what's going on, and they'd say, fuck no, we're not gonna, enough's enough. And it just would never happen. I would be, it's just not the natural order. As a Christian, I just don't believe that God would allow that to happen. I don't think it would happen. It's not really possible. It's not really a means to it. So, but that's another aspect of it that the episode doesn't really talk about. But in general, just speaking on this premise that, really the only thing that men have that women don't is the ability to be funny and, sperm, essentially. If anything, it is actually the opposite. And in the show, they say that women don't need men, and that men can't live without women, but women can live without men. And it's the opposite. If all men were to leave society tomorrow, or a majority of men were to leave society tomorrow, women would be in peril. But they would still, especially if there were some men that still existed, they would have some hope because those few men existed, and they would be able to, surge this society forward. Not to talk about the biological aspect of, only a handful of men being able to impregnate all these different women, whereas, one woman can't impregnate, it's a one and done. A woman can only carry one child over the course of a year, sort of thing, whereas a man can impregnate multiple women and, spread it out, as it were. But it's actually the opposite, whereas vice versa, if all women or a majority of women were to disappear from society tomorrow, I think what's easier for the thought experiment is to say a majority, we would be fine. We would be fine. Yeah, would it be different? And obviously there would be some things that we had to get used to and compensate for, of course. And yes, a lot of men would be very lonely. If you think there's a lonely epidemic now, if something like that happened, there'd be even more one. But society would not collapse like it would if a majority of men were to disappear. If a majority of women disappeared, society would not collapse. Men still, even with all this freedom, even with all this intelligence that supposedly women have, men still dominate the major jobs in society that are needed for a society to keep moving. Infrastructure jobs, mechanical jobs, the maintenance jobs of society, plumbing, HVAC, all this stuff that literally maintains a society, men still do. So again, women cannot live without men. And you know what? Deep down inside, women know this. Women are absolutely drawn to men and their masculinity. Feminism forces them to go against their nature. Women yearn to be in a relationship, in a caring, loving relationship where a man is taking control and leading, and she can take comfort in his arms. That is what a woman looks for, because they are the more delicate sex. This has been known throughout society, but it's just in the society that we live in now, we live in an inverted society where everything that has been known is being artificially inverted, and unfortunately we're having to live with the consequences. But yeah, it's absolutely absurd. But this episode, I really wanted to speak on it. It's an old episode. The episode is when Eric Cartman goes to SpaceX and is trying to get to Mars. But it really speaks to just kind of the general seance that most people inhabit with feminism. Like their backdrop, their foundation is that men are terrible. Men absolutely need women at every turn. Women don't need men. We're holding them down. They would just soar without us. And men are just these pigs that do all this horrible shit, this awful shit. And it's just absurd. Whereas women don't do this awful shit. They're totally fine. And even if they do awful shit, they don't have to take accountability for it because, they're women. We view them up here and ourselves these lowly, terrible creatures. It's absurd. So I just wanted to speak on, again, the current mindset that many still inhabit in today's society, and kind of their foundational belief system that is really inverted, especially when it comes to male-female dynamics and the importance of each sex and what value they bring to society or do not bring. All right, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, share, and last but not least, DBAP, don't be a pussy willow. In fact, our feelings, because your feelings just don't matter. Love you, King. See you guys next time. Christ is King. Peace.